All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're on the podcast Aligned, where strategy meets innovation. And we are on with Casper today, and he is our guest, our featured guest today, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself.
Awesome.
Casper?
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So a little bit about myself. I actually wasn't born in this country. I was actually born in Poland. My family emigrated
Wow.
from Poland in 2005 when I was 7 years old. My father's pretty much been in roofing ever since then. So I watched him grow up and, do his thing. And I saw him kind of go up from just being a regular laborer all the way up to being in the position that he is right now. And he's kind of a foreman, superintendent role in his company.
Wow.
Um, so I always looked up to him growing up, obviously. And I think sometime at around when I was 16 years old, um, I think my dad got a little too tired of me sitting on the couch and playing video games for, the whole entire summer. And
Right.
it was a funny running joke because when he'd be getting up for work, I'd just be going to sleep, and then we'd be coming home from work, I'd be waking up. So
Right.
that was so I think he got a little tired of seeing that. So, he brought me along, and he wanted to show me, hard work in summer and all that stuff. And
Right.
I got to liking it, which, so I did it when I was 16, did it when I was 17, did it when I was 18, and even when I was in college, I went to Ramapo, which is a college up in northern Jersey.
Mhm.
I went in for business administration and finance, but the whole entire time, even when I was in class and even working on the weekends, I would, try to find time. And eventually, it brought me back, and I found a managerial position, which obviously is
Great.
one that I'm in right now, and I've been in the same place for about going on 6, almost 7 years. So I'm 26 years old, so I'm
That's
still
great.
fresh in the eyes of the roofing industry, I guess if you want to call it that. Uh,
Yeah, it's
but it's been
vast.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been great. I love it. There's nothing else that
How,
I'd want to do in my life.
so what company do you work for?
As of right now, I'm working for S&S Roofing.
Okay.
Out of
Okay.
we're based out of Carteret, New Jersey. We are a national company. I mean, like I said before, right now we're
Right.
based out of the East Coast, but as of right now, I'm in Northern Nevada, and sooner than later, I'm going to be going to Oregon and Ohio, and a couple other jobs that we have in the pipeline. So
Well, that's awesome. So, you are quite young for, just in general, and I guess you're a project manager there.
yeah,
So,
we kind of everybody in the company kind of has multiple different hats, multiple different roles. So
right.
management isn't the only thing. Even though I'm heavily and mostly involved in the operation side of things, I do bidding, I do estimating, pretty much from the moment that we send a bid out to the moment that we close the job out and give the customer their warranty. I have a complete and total involvement in.
Well, that's awesome. Well, that's kudos to you. That's not easy to do. So you must be doing it right.
Yeah,
So,
thank you. I appreciate it. It's been
yeah.
I got to where
So,
I am right now, so I got to be doing something right, you know?
right, exactly, exactly. So, where do you, I guess, what typically are you're obviously national, right? So, are y'all usually doing TPO roofs? What specifically in the roofing industry are you tackling?
Gotcha. So we are 99.99% a commercial roofing company. So most of the roofs that we end up touching are low slope roofs. So TPO,
Yeah.
EPDM. I mean, pretty much 80% of all the jobs that we work on nowadays are TPO. It's kind of like the main roofing system that everybody goes for. EPDM, you're starting to see a little bit less and less of that. You still see a lot of it out in the
Right.
roofing industry and out on commercial jobs, but for the most part, especially with the jobs that we tackle, we primarily do TPO. So
All right. And do y'all do any metal roofing, or do you do it, if the job requires it, or is that
we do.
usually something out? You do.
It's if the job requires it. If we get something that's worth it, I guess for us, you could say, we'll definitely take a
Right.
look at it. But a lot of the metal roofing that we do usually comes with a much larger TPO roof.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're huge. They're everywhere. I mean, you go through Dallas and it's just walls of warehouses everywhere with TPO, just this nonstop. Um, which manufacturers do you like to use? Do you prefer GAF or Fire or Elevate Now or John Mansville, Carlisle? What are
So
your
So I might get a little bit in trouble with the reps on this one, but we work with absolutely everybody. Everybody's great to work with. But if you did want to have my personal opinion, I primarily have a really, really great relationship with Johns Manville. I mean, we've been doing a lot of their work. Their reps have been absolutely awesome. I got to give a shout out to Performance Roofing Associates out in Pennsylvania.
Nice.
Michelle Malucci and Katie Molesky, they pretty much, they're awesome. They always help me out with absolutely everything. And I have a great relationship with them, great relationship with the inspectors. And, but
It helps.
primarily, yeah, primarily with Johns Manville, I like to take care of the Johns Manville jobs for sure.
Yeah, it really helps. And once you find one that you really like working with, so, and that brings me, so your suppliers are the ones you're referring to, the ladies? Or the,
They are the manufacturer representatives.
okay.
So they pretty much assist the JM more so on the operational side. Um,
Are y'all going
and
through
yeah,
this like ABCs of
yeah,
the supplier? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
QXO, ABC. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. That's yeah, ABC is huge, and they pride themselves on being, client, pretty much catering to everything the client needs, right? Which is, what makes it nice, and you build up that rapport and that relationship that really helps you when you need it to. Because a lot
Yep.
of times when you're out there on these job sites, you get trucks that are delayed. It can be an absolute scheduling nightmare trying to get material on job sites too. So, and if you're traveling all over the country, I imagine one of y'all's issues is probably weather as well.
Yeah, well, luckily being out in Nevada, I don't think I've seen 2 days of rain since I came back here. I've been here for about 3 months. I went home for a little bit, over to the East Coast to take care of a couple things, but
Yeah,
came back here about 3 months ago, and I don't think I've seen about 2 days of rain, which
really.
yeah, which is awesome, which is great. Especially if you're a roofer, you don't get a lot of weather days.
Yeah, you love the
I know that.
rain.
Yup, I know that my associates back east are having a really tough time right now with all the weather and the hurricanes that are coming
Well,
through and
yeah, the
everything. So,
hurricane. It's that season, and it looks like it's just start catching fire too. So the East Coast is always that is a timing scheduling nightmare a lot of
oh
times.
yeah,
A
oh
lot of my
yeah.
clients too, for sure, and that's one of the things that we help them with a lot. But so in next, so as you know, with the way technology and everything is going in the world, with AI doing what it's doing, which is like just an exponential jump in growth, right? Um, where do you see like your company and yourself for that matter, right, being in the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you see the industry? How do you see it kind of playing out?
Oh man, I see. So the whole technological advancement in the roofing industry with everything that's been going on, it's definitely not the same place that it was 10 years ago, and it's definitely not the same
Yeah.
place that it was like 20 years ago. So
No.
obviously I've never had any sort of experiences in that, but just going from the stories that I've hear of some of the older gentlemen
Even
over in my
5 years
company.
ago, yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
But
It's
you know what it
just,
is? AI is the big change. AI is the biggest change. I mean, my chat GPT is like my personal little assistant now. It helps me
it
out
can
throughout
do
the
so
day,
much.
and I use it a lot. It saves the time. Efficiency is probably one of the most important things in any construction trade, really. So just being efficient at getting what I need to do to get done obviously helps out a lot, helps out on my time. I don't have to dig
Right.
around for 20 minutes looking through, JMTPO manuals or details or anything like that. I just ask ChatGPT, hey, I need
Pulls it
this
right
detail from
up.
this manufacturer. I need this standard detail, and then it pulls it up right away. I could download it from my phone to my computer, and everything is so seamless. And it's kind
Yeah,
of one of
it's
those
super.
things. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where as technology and AI gets a little bit more incorporated into the roofing industry, if you don't know how to use it, you're going to get left behind.
You get left behind, right? Well,
Yeah.
that's why I'm here, and I actually developed this podcast based around that, is because my company that I have here, we have nothing but AI and a team of. So what I like to do is I call it HI meets AI, which is human intelligence combined with artificial intelligence, and we come up with solutions and we try to implement them inside all these companies that are doing well, like yourselves, and even newer companies. Like you said, there's a 4% success rate. When you're talking about new companies too. But having that edge is just, it means everything, and efficiency means everything. So you it's amazing how far and how much has changed. I probably have access to, right now I have access to 31,000 AI tools. But 3 months ago I had access to 10,000. But that's how much, just in every month it's adding. And every day it's updating. It's incredible. And I thank God I have my team, because otherwise I'd lose my mind. Just because the updates are, it's insane. It's amazing. It's
Yep.
incredible. Um, So obviously, if you're, I always use the Talladega Nights. If you're not first, you're last. So
Hmm.
that everybody has to whether you want it to be or not, it's coming full force. But how do you feel? The other thing I wanted to ask was, a lot of the people I speak to, with the competitive nature of roofing contractors, there being a lot of them, right? How do you guys, being that you are so national, right? How do you see the margins and the competition? Is it really squeezing you guys out? How do y'all work around that, or how you work with it?
You know what? You are 100% right. So, being a national contractor and being based out of a single location, we do have a warehouse, we do have a shop, we do have a fully staffed office. Um, so obviously, when you consider in travel costs for a man, when you consider stays, when you consider all the things that
All
don't
your
come
overhead,
into
yeah.
play, exactly, all the things that don't come into play if you're a local contractor, right?
Right.
But you know what it is? Relationships a lot of times can save that. Relationships with customers, word of mouth, being able to put together a nice reference list to be able to go to a future potential customer and say, here are the projects that I've completed. Here are all the people that you could call, you could talk to.
Right.
And the reference list isn't just from one area. We have a lot of people from Virginia, a lot of people up and down the East Coast, a couple of people over on the West Coast now that we're starting to move into that territory a little bit more. So that's
It's
it's
a huge thing. Yeah,
yeah, it's
communication is huge. I think with the COVID and everything that happened, we have a generational issue with that social aspect of things that just got like chopped off. Unfortunately, and everybody's trying to recover, and a lot of people just kind of forgot how to communicate. I think it's
yeah.
unfortunate that happened, especially for the youth. But that's a whole other topic. So what kind of do you do estimating, or are you just strictly the project manager? What all do you do that too?
Yep. I pretty much do everything. Like I said before, pretty much from the moment that we get a lead or something like that, I'll follow up on
Oh
the
wow,
lead, put together everything. So realistically,
jack of all trades.
I could throw the salesman hat in there too as well. You got to learn. But you know what?
You do.
It's really good to be able to know the whole process from the beginning to the end.
Well, yeah, it makes you so much
Obviously,
more knowledgeable.
yeah, makes you very, very much more knowledgeable, and you understand how certain things happen and why certain things happen too, especially when you're on a job. So I do have a superintendent that does travel with me. Anthony Stacy's awesome guy. He's been in the industry for a very, very long
That's
time. He's older
awesome.
than me, and he teaches me a lot about the things that I, still don't know or still have yet to know.
Wow, that's
Um,
great to have that.
so yeah, I'm him and my mentor. I mean, I have to bring him up too. The owner of the company, he's the one that brought me on when I was 20 years old and gave me the opportunity that I received in order to be in the place that I am today. So
Well, you saw your potential, right? And that's, people building people up is, that's what we do. That's what makes companies. You're only as good as the people you surround yourself with,
exactly.
and
Yep.
it goes the same way with your team. I built a team out here that works, and I'm only as good as my team is, and
Yep.
that's the bottom line, and that counts for so much. And people don't. I don't even think you realize it until you actually are an entrepreneur, or you're set into a management role where you've got all these moving parts and you realize how important that phase really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. And I have a lot of people that are maybe a little bit younger than me who are trying to get into this industry. Maybe they were working in the field for 2, 3 years, and they always ask, um, how were you able to, I guess, progress so quickly, if you want to call it that.
Right.
But truth and reality is, say the same thing to absolutely everybody, and that's you have to have a good mentor that is willing to take you under his wing and show you how things are. Luckily, I was able to have a really, really great mentor with Yuri, my boss. He was able to show me, my father taught me how to roof, but my mentor taught me how to be a businessman within the roofing industry, which
That's
is also a
amazing.
very, very important thing.
Yeah, that's
Um,
amazing. I mean, you get so far ahead of the game when you have that, and that's what is kudos to you for being willing to absorb that, and for them to take it upon them to teach you too. That's a great thing. Absolutely. What I was going to ask you when you said you do estimating, what are some of your do you use a platform of any kind?
I actually don't, and a lot of people, I'm going to catch a lot of heat for this. I, that's the one thing that I sort of can't let go. Is being a master at Excel.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I came up with,
well, that's a gift. So, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. Throughout high school and throughout college, I was able to learn a lot of stuff about that, and later on implement it, I guess you could say. So, I do have a format on Excel that every single one of my estimates follows. It's clear,
That's
it's
right.
concise, and
So you have all your spreadsheets and all, yeah,
yeah,
your templates all ready to go.
yep,
Yeah, it makes all the difference in the world. Then a lot of people, we help a lot of people out on, because I have so many tools, but we help a lot of people out on estimating, and honestly, half of them, they just needed a good template. Like they just needed a good format, and that's all they needed,
yeah,
and some guidance because a lot of people, unfortunately, especially your people coming in that have only been in the business a couple of years, are trying to figure out how to get their margins right. But it's really about pricing things correctly and knowing what your overhead is and
yep,
all those little things that go into a job. And until you're out there with boots on the ground, you really don't understand that.
yep, yep, and that's
You have to.
and just piggybacking off of what I said before about having the multiple hats and being a part of the
Yeah,
process from start to finish, right?
almost
Um,
have to.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, you know what? I see a lot of companies that have a separate estimator, separate project manager, separate salesman. So, the salesman will go out and make the contact, the estimator will put the price together, and then they just onto the project manager, you know?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and a lot of times, sometimes estimators, something looks a little bit different on the drawings than it does look out in the field. Maybe something's
Yeah.
changed a little bit here and there. So having a finger and having that involvement in every step of the process from the start of the job, from the moment that you get the contract to the moment that you give the customer the guarantee warranty, um, you know what's going on. You know what's
Right.
going on. Um, you know everything that there is to know about the job, everything from every cent, where every cent is going, and especially considering that the jobs that I estimate are the ones that I manage. So I learned a lot through estimating, making mistakes,
Right.
finding out about those mistakes in the field, and then saying to myself, hey, I forgot this one, so I need to incorporate it now into the next one. I need to think about this. I need to
Right.
think about something as simple as float time. When you know that certain trade, if we're involved in certain trades, I know that certain trades are going to take longer than other
Right.
trades to complete work if we're working with a mechanical guy or something like that. So you have to consider
Makes a
everything not to
huge
be burned.
difference. Right.
Makes
It
a
really
huge
does.
difference. Yeah.
What do you, so you're obviously very influential in your company and how they function. What are y'all's goals as far as, growth and whatnot over the next 3 to 5 years? What does that look like for your company?
So obviously we want to continue moving across more states. We want to get more national jobs in the sense of outside of the East Coast. So, we've been running up and down the East Coast. Especially when I
Mm.
first started here, we started getting jobs in Virginia. We grew a lot as a company. We pretty much doubled our growth in the past 6 years that
Right.
I've been here.
How did
So,
y'all and how did y'all what was your best way of doing that? What was the success? How did you create that success?
Um, realistically, just I mean, not only just growing through word of mouth, but I think that we tightened down on a lot of things. We've made more connections. We've made
Hmm.
connections that allowed us to go outside of the East Coast and outside of the Northeast, even, going down doing jobs in Florida, Georgia, and all those
Right.
states down south. But mainly connections and good relationships with general contractors and whoever we're doing work for, because word of mouth passes quickly, and we were able to go from local GCs to being working for GCs that are
Right.
national, that have different projects. And we could sit down with them and say, hey, we're thinking about expanding our territory, we're thinking about going out, we're thinking about moving out, and they have those jobs down in Florida, they
Right.
have those jobs out in Nevada, they have those jobs out in Oregon.
Yeah.
So, like I said before, communication is key, and
Yeah.
everybody has to put their
It
salesman
is.
hat on.
So the next, another big question that we like to dive into is, the pain points. Like what really, if there was anything out in the field that you could fix, what would that be? Or anything in your daily operations, or even on the back end, like where do you see the biggest problem with your daily operations and any headwinds that might get in the way for growth?
Making sure you have the right people on your team, I think
Yeah.
it all comes down to that. It all comes down to that. I like to say that there's a big difference between people who work in the roofing industry and roofers. If
Yeah.
you kind of catch my drift.
Yeah.
Like
I
I've
know.
told you, but like I've told you before, pretty much from the moment that I wake up in the morning to the moment that I put my head down on the pillow, 90% of the things that I think about are roofing, are company
Right.
related, are how I can grow, how I can do this, how I can, how I can help out with this, that, and the third. So
Right.
I think in order to grow in a cutthroat industry like roofing, you have to
Hmm.
have people that are just as passionate about it as passionate as you can be.
Right. Right. And that's, commendable, and you're not wrong
Yeah.
at all. As
You're
far
only as
as,
good as the team around you. So
yeah, that is absolutely true. But if there was anything that you could make better, what would it be? Let me ask you that. Like, if there was anything that you could make better, what would that be?
just about my company or just about the industry in general?
Both.
Well, about the industry in general, like I said before, I think that there's a lot of people that, like I said, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with just treating a job as a job.
Right.
But if you don't put care into something, and if you don't, not necessarily, I think passion is the wrong word for it. I think if you don't put care into something, things
Hmm.
get extended. So, at
Right.
least on my end, or at least in the industry, I've noticed that as we grew up higher, there's a lot more people that you have to talk to. There's a lot more hands that get into the pot.
Right.
Whereas you're not dealing with 4 or 5 people anymore. You're now dealing with 40 or 50 people, right? And not everybody is going to have put the same foot forward as you.
Right.
Um, so I don't think that that's something that we're going to get away with. I think that's something that we're always going to have, but it's just something that we have to learn to live with. And then in terms
Right.
of my own company, I honestly think probably organization is our biggest one, but we're working on that.
Yeah.
Trying to get more organized and trying to come up with actual set in place systems. I think that's also really, really important is to have systems for absolutely everything with following up on leads, making sure that everybody's pulling their weight, everybody's doing what they need to do. Um,
Right.
so I think that having systems in place for, like I said, every step of the way from the beginning to the end, I think that that's something that's truly important.
Yeah, and I think your most successful companies have that. I mean, to be honest, especially if you're looking to grow, I think that that's really important.
Yeah,
Um, you've got to have those communications and those systems in place to streamline everything so that you can grow. Because if you can't, then it turns into like a bottleneck, and
yep,
then you start having issues. So,
exactly.
yeah. The next thing I have is, if you, I always ask this.
Okay.
So if you have any suggestions or advice that you would give somebody that is going to enter into the business, what would it be? What would be the one thing?
Uh, Honestly, I think if I had to pick one out of all, professionalism is
Other than
key.
don't.
Oh, it's not one. Okay. So that's a good one to start off of professionalism. I think as we evolve and as technology gets and more implemented into the space with social media, with everything, I think that having a professional image for your company is really, really important. Everything from your LinkedIn to your company Instagram to your company Facebook to the polos that you have on when you go to pre-bid meetings and appearances, I guess you could say, for lack of a better
Right.
word. I
Right.
think that's really, really
Presence.
important. Yeah, presence,
Yeah.
exactly.
Presence.
If you
Presence
if
across
you
all platforms. Right.
Yep. If you come up on the job site and you show the customer, potential customer, whatever it may be, you show them that you're professional, you're organized, you know your stuff, you know your
Right.
technicals, you know everything. Um, like I said before, communication too, finding a way. There's a lot of customers that'll go up on roofs and they don't know a single thing about roofing. So I have to kind of
Explain it. Yeah.
present it to them in a way that they would understand so that they feel confident in the product that they're buying.
Right. And that's a big thing, and I mean, I see why they took a chance with you, because you do have those communication skills and you can articulate it, right? So
Yeah.
that's super important when you're dealing with customers and GCs, and whatever it is you're doing, that's highly valuable. Okay, Casper, it has been absolutely wonderful having you on. Like I was telling you before, the young talent that you bring to the table for the industry is incredible, and your passion for it is awesome. And we love to hear it, we love to see it, and we really appreciate you coming on. We hope to have you back as another guest. We'll reconvene, ask you back on, and see where you're at in a couple months, and how things are going and progressing for you. Just not with just your company, but you as an individual, because you're doing a lot of things that are really incredible for the industry. I think you're going to be you're going to be really great for the industry in general.
Awesome. Thank you. That was a very, very kind word. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come and speak, share some of my thoughts. You know, I love this kind of stuff. I love to see where the industry is growing, especially with all this podcast stuff. So I'm really
Right.
grateful to be a part of it. Thank you very much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, we will chat again, and I hope that gets you back on. And you have a wonderful week, and everybody out there have a wonderful week. And we'll see you on the next one. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Amy.